Okay, so this is my student report 2 video report. I'll start off a little bit about the narrative section, a little bit of a background of my internship. So I was in Auckland, New Zealand for about a month from early May to early June. I interned for a bunch of different businesses out there. Started off with the carpentry, went to Trade Innovations, and to Harper Properties, into South Park Corporation, and then to Outside In. I completed all 90 hours within this time, within this month, so I packed it all in. And so some of the activities that I performed was creating and maintaining spreadsheets, connecting and calling property managers and property development groups in the Auckland area, volunteering for this nonprofit organization called Upside Youth Mentoring, and I was their social media manager and their event coordinator. I also sat in on a lot of various board meetings and assisted in tech support for each business. I assisted property managers as we traveled throughout the Auckland area, scoping out various properties that were managed by Harper Properties. I assisted in the bookkeeping of financial records for each business, packaged and boxed carpet samples for the carpentry, toured around property development sites with South Park Corporation, and then checked in on some of these sites and helped brainstorm their ideas and plans that they had for each site. Assembled plant projects for Outside In, and assisted in managing inventory for Outside In. So I'd say that all of these activities were really beneficial for me to just gain this entrepreneurial, the entrepreneurial advice that these buddies of mine out in New Zealand were able to provide me with. So any questions that I had with starting a new business, with coming up with an idea or a product that is revolutionary, they're just very helpful in that. And so, so this is an internship that happened in the past. So ever since my last report, nothing new has happened, but this is just a recap of what I did in New Zealand. So it was 90 hours, like I said, but starting off with the organizational culture for each business, I think was each business was very different, but they all had very similar organizational cultures where they each did a very good job of expressing their faith, where they were all Christian businesses and businessmen that started these businesses, and they made sure that their employees, their customers, and just surrounding businesses understood that they were a Christian-centered, Christian-oriented business. And so their organizational culture from there was like treat others as you would like to be treated. And they just treated their employees really well. They treated me very well as an intern. They treated the customers really well. So it was always Christ first, family second, customer third, business, And so they always wanted to make sure that the customer was first, and that they just took their thoughts, their feedback into consideration. So each of them were very different, like I said, but they all have very similar organizational cultures. Within the conflict resolution styles, I feel like they each focused on the customers and the customer needs, and then also their employees' needs and their employee feedback. They were able to handle these conflict resolutions really, really well. So I feel like they each did a very good job of just being able to handle conflict in a really good way, where they were able to, diffuse situations amongst the business that, like for example, Trade Innovations they're in a bankruptcy phase. And so that's obviously a conflict where people are kind of, they're nervous. Employees are nervous. Hey, am I going to be able to stick with this business? Is this business going to make it? Is this worth my effort? Where I feel like Tim, my buddy that owns this company, did a very good job of saying, hey, we're in this as a team. We're going to resolve any conflict that arises. We're going to get through this. We're going to trust our board. And that kind of segues into leadership styles, where I feel like each business did a great job of making sure that the customer came first, that they were focused on the customer and their needs, and that their employees' needs were also heard at the same time. And so leadership styles like I said, I think it was really important that, yeah, that they were able to provide this leadership where they weren't making the only decisions, but they were kind of leading the decisions in a way and still making sure that the employees' voices were heard. Workplace training, I feel like they trained me very well out there. Each place was about a day of training. Some places even the training, there was like no training. It was literally like an hour or 2 hours, and all of a sudden you just jump right into it. Like the carpentry, for example, was like that for me, where I just jumped right into it. And so I feel like workplace training, they do a really good job of recruiting employees that fit their values, their Christian values, their leadership values, and just, yeah, overall corporate values. And they do a really good job of finding these people and making sure that um, that's someone that they want within their business, that will fit really well in their business. So their training's really well, is really, really good. And I just felt like they trained me very well and made sure that they made the most of the time that I was there, and just really helped me grow as a person, and also just grow my business. Um, yeah, just my business knowledge, and um, also just, yeah, like spiritually, I feel like they're great mentors for me as well. Organizational values, like I said, similar to just, yeah, like what I mentioned before, where they're just very Christian oriented, Christian centered, and that they want to make sure that that's expressed within their organization. That other people notice that, hey, uh, Outside In is just different than other businesses that I've tried, because they seem just happy and joyful, and just very polite and outgoing, and so they just want to be a light in the darkness and be glorifying the Lord whenever they can. And then finally, this internship definitely matched my student calling and vocation, or my calling and vocation. And I just felt like it was one of those experiences that I'll never forget, where I was able to learn this entrepreneurial advice, and learn what it's like to start up a business. And I feel like each of my buddies out there that started these businesses, they just went out of their way to make sure that my all of my questions were answered, and that they were able to just prepare me for my next stage of life outside of college, where it's like, hey, reach out to this business or reach out to this professor, see what their thoughts are, if they can connect with certain people. And they're just really, really helpful. And I still talk to them really often to get their advice. They're going to be friends for life, mentors for life. And I'm just really, really grateful for them, where they were able to be like, hey, this is your, like, your skills, your abilities do transfer over to entrepreneurship, where that is something that you could definitely be doing. You could definitely pursue that. And when we were in your shoes, we were in your same position, where we're like, hey, is starting a business the right thing for me? Is that what I want to do? So I feel like they were really helpful in saying that my abilities, my passions really transfer over to entrepreneurship. Um, so overall, it was an internship that was really beneficial for me, not just business wise, but spiritual, and just as a person. I was able to grow and learn from these guys and these buddies of mine out there, and so it's an internship that I'll never forget, and something that was really short, but I made the most of every hour of this internship, with the 90 hours that I was able to work for each business. I definitely made the most by asking each business owner what their advice would be. Hey, if you're in my position, like, what would you do? What would you pursue? And what would you advise me to do? So, yeah, like I said, really, really helpful internship, and it's an internship that I'll never forget. I'm just grateful for the opportunity that arose out of this. Where going to New Zealand's a big step. It's on the other side of the world, but it's something that the Lord had planned out for me. That He was able to. I just gave Him the wheel and trusted Him throughout this, and it was an experience that I'll never forget. With the advice that I learned from all these guys, and how they'll be friends and mentors for life. So it's really beneficial, and that is the summary for my report. And thank you again.